Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be with you today to present a paper about the project management experience of the Dangote Group, especially so in the petroleum refinery project. I can give you a brief background of our project management experience. We are the largest cement manufacturers in Africa with a capacity of 45 million tons per annum. We have a pan-African presence with projects executed in 14 different countries. We have built the largest sugar refinery in the world. We have an integrated sugarcane farming and sugar milling, which we have built. We have built up facilities in food processing industries. We built up the largest flour milling capacity by any company in the world. We built up the largest pasta capacity in Africa. And now we are about to commission a 3 million ton per annum urea plant, which is the second largest in the world. So we have gained quite a lot of experience in project management. Coming to the specific project in question, we are looking at the oil and gas projects we are executing at present, specifically so the petroleum refinery. It is the largest single train petroleum refinery in the world with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, with an integrated petrochemical complex to produce 840,000 tons per annum of polypropylene. And we are already doing the initial conceptual work to add up another 500,000 tons per annum of polyethylene. And in the same complex, we are also building the second largest ammonia urea fertilizer plant in the world with a capacity of 3 million tons per annum. The complex has an integrated power generation capacity of 555 megawatts, with 120 megawatts dedicated to the fertilizer end and the balance dedicated to the refinery. And this site also is going to be the terminal point for the largest subsea gas pipeline infrastructure in the world, with a length of 1,100 kilometers subsea pipelines running through and gathering gas to up to 3 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. And it terminates in the site with world-scale gas treatment plants. So the project site comprises of three key elements: the petroleum refinery and petrochemical complex, the gas treatment stations for 3 BCF of gas, which is coming from the 1,100 kilometer of subsea gas pipeline, and a 3 million ton per annum capacity integrated ammonia urea plant. And for today's attention, our focus is primarily going to be on the petroleum refinery and the petrochemical complex. I'll start with the business strategy of this project. The first strategy was that we should focus on producing the best quality product in the world so we can export the products to anywhere. So we straight away designed the refinery to produce Euro 5 quality products. So this product can be sold anywhere in Europe, US, any part of the world. As you know, many of the refineries, even in Europe, are still not in a position to produce fully Euro 5 grade. So we have gone straight away to produce Euro 5 grade of 100% of our production, whether it is gasoline, whether it is diesel, whether it is aviation jet, all Euro 5 grade. That was the first business strategy. So we will not be constrained to move the product to any part of the world to export, because it's a very large refinery, and obviously we'll have to export quite a lot of our production outside the continent. The second strategy was to have crude flexibility. Yes, the refinery is coming up in Nigeria, and Nigeria is a large oil producer. So normally the refineries would be tuned to utilize the Nigerian crude oil production. But we decided that being major investments, we should not again be constrained by the crude. So we have designed the refinery to handle a wide variety of crudes. We can handle many of the African crudes, some of the Middle Eastern crudes, and the US light tight oil. So we have a very wide flexibility in our feedstock. And the feedstock has also been designed in keeping with the current global trend. If you see in the past, the refineries were all focused to maximize their margins by designing their refineries to process heavy and dirty crude, high sulfur crude, heavy crudes, Venezuelan crudes, Mexican Maya, and other high sulfur crudes and heavy crudes, because they were selling at a large discount. So those who are investing in in the refineries to process such crudes had a good margin. But this scenario got changed because of two issues. One is the environmental friendliness, then the consciousness about the environment. So people started moving out of processing dirtier crudes because the final products also come out with a lot of other high sulfur products. So uh, the global trend started shifting a bit. Then there was a second issue which made a major impact, which is the US light tight oil. US, which was essentially a huge importer of crude oil, became a net exporter of crude oil. And primarily with the oil coming up, the LTO, it's essentially very light and sweeter crude. So because of the huge, and it not only became self-sufficient, it also started exporting. So the availability of lighter and sweeter crude globally went up in large quantities, and the demand for the heavier crude and dirtier crude fell down. So the premium for the light sweet crude over the heavier and dirtier crude started bridging. So with the narrower margins, the margins are narrowing. So this is the future trend. So we designed our refinery keeping that in view. So our capital investment has taken into consideration the feedstock in line with the current trend in the world. So this is the second point in the business strategy. Apart from one is the product quality, Euro 5. Second is the crude flexibility, and also keeping in view the current global trend. And the third strategy was to maximize the gasoline production. Normally, all refineries are tuned and designed to maximize diesel production because diesel is the largest consumed product in each country. Nigeria demands a huge quantity of gasoline. So we designed our refinery to produce 53% of our production as gasoline. If you take the Nigerian existing refineries, 22% of the production is gasoline, whereas our refinery is designed to produce 53% gasoline. And so it meets the huge demand and fills the gap. And also it adds value in terms of improved turnover. So that was the third business strategy we took while designing this refinery. And the fourth one was to maximize the value addition. The strategy was to go for heavier capital investments and make the refinery more complex, but to extract maximum value out of every barrel of crude which goes into the refinery. So if you see, yes, the capital expense is high, the Nelson index, the complexity is high, but the turnover is going to be quite high because of the high value addition and it will maximize the profitability of this refinery. So you have a high volume of production of petrochemicals. You have lighter products like gasoline and diesel coming out, and the heavier products like the furnace oil. The production volume is quite low. So the value addition and extracting maximum value out of every barrel of crude was the next philosophy of the business strategy. And of course, the last point was in the business strategy was to go for the state-of-the-art technology. So the best quality products so that we can export it anywhere in the world. So you are not constrained by the market. Crude flexibility, so you are not constrained your feedstock. You are not dependent upon any particular country. And maximize the value addition by extracting maximum value, and maximize the gasoline, which is in high demand in the local area, and also which fetches a better price and a state-of-the-art technology. So these were the defining business strategies for our petroleum refinery. And to go for an executive summary about the refinery, we can meet 100% of the Nigerian requirements. In terms of all the requirements, gasoline, diesel, aviation jet, kerosene, we can meet 100% of the requirements. And we will have surplus in each of these products for export. And as far as Nigeria is concerned, it creates $11 billion per annum market for the Nigerian crude. For Nigeria, US used to be the biggest market for the Nigerian crude. Then, as I explained earlier, US became self-sufficient. It started exporting a similar variety of crude. So Nigeria lost its biggest customer and market, and it was facing competition from LTO. US has already sent cargoes to India, which is another market for Nigerian crude. So the demand for the Nigerian crude was also facing a lot of pressure. So now it creates a ready market with a huge potential. And apart from consuming a substantial quantity of Nigerian crude, because we are going to export a huge volume of the liquid products, and because we are going to go for 100% import substitution, there is going to be an enormous foreign exchange savings for the country. It will be a minimum of almost $10 billion, if not more. So the country is going to benefit a lot in terms of foreign exchange savings, and the currency, which has always been sliding down, can become stronger. And we have also designed for marine infrastructure to receive the crude and to export the product. That was another part of the business strategy, you can say. 75% of our production can be evacuated through road. 75% of our production can be evacuated through sea. So we have 150% evacuation capacity with full flexibility, and we can take it to the ports within Nigeria, in the West Africa, in Central Africa, and we can take it to South America, Europe. So we have full flexibility in product evacuation. And I'll place a slide now to show you what is the production capacity for each product, gasoline, kerosene, jet, and diesel, and what is the consumption in Nigeria, and what is the surplus for exports. So this gives you a picture of the refinery's capacity as well as the quantum of products available for export. And if you go through the next slide, you will see the various petrochemicals which this refinery is going to produce: polypropylene, polyethylene, carbon black feedstock, and sulfur. And coming back to the petroleum refinery and its investments, there were a lot of investments which were not originally envisaged at the conceptual stage. which we had to invest. When we bought the site and moved in, the site looked good, but when the initial investigation was done, we realized that 70% of the site was swamp, and the entire land had to be reclaimed. And the swamp bogies in the country was not adequate. We had to import swamp bogies to even clear the swamps. And it was a very bad soil which had to be reclaimed. And before we started going in for our civil works, we looked at it and we realized that our site was between the sea and the lagoon. And we were concerned that with the global warming, the ocean levels can rise and our investment could be at a threat. So we decided to raise the entire height of the land. It is 2,850 hectares of land. It's not a small piece of land, by 1.5 meters height. So we needed to pump in 65 million cubic meters of sand, which normally to pump in 65 cubic million meters of sand takes a very long period of time. So we had to actually go and hire the world's largest dredger, the second largest dredger, and the 10th largest dredger, the three dredgers to come and simultaneously pump. Still, it took us more than a year and close to a year and a half, and it costed us about 300 million euro to do this elevation of height of the site by 1.5 meters. So this was another unenvisaged expenses we had to face. And then we wanted to go in for construction. We had to start obviously with the civil construction. And the biggest civil contractors in Nigeria, they all said they cannot even handle 1/10 of civil works which were supposed to be executed in the site. They didn't have the capacity. They didn't have the equipment. So we had to buy 2,550 construction equipment on our own so that we can meet the capacities here. And that was another major investment in terms of dozers, excavators, compactors, backhoes, front-end loaders, dumpers, and tippers. So this was an unenvisaged expense of 2,550 construction equipment. But it has also equipped us today to become a major civil construction company on our own. And this also included mechanical construction equipment, because when we decided to go for the mechanical construction stage, the contractor said, okay, this is a large project and we have to ship all our equipment into Nigeria and ship it back. So we realized that the cost of shipping the equipment back and forth, as well as the way in which the contractors were trying to depreciate the cost of their equipment, we felt it was good to buy our own equipment so that we'll have brand new equipment and the equipment can work without much of mechanical failure and give us better productivity. So we had to buy more than 300 cranes of various capacities. In fact, the cranes which we hired were only 3 cranes we hired, which was the 5,000-ton crane and the 2,000-ton crane. All other cranes, we bought it on our own. So that was another major expense which we had never planned for. And when we looked at the concrete quantities, we realized that the concrete production capacity available in the country was abysmal. So we had to go and invest in ready-mix concrete production capacity, including transit mixers, concrete pumps, to manage 13 million cubic meters of concrete capacity per annum. So we had to invest in a lot of batching plants, more than 200 transit mixers, more than 80 concrete pumps. And so that was another unenvisaged expense, but giving us a huge capacity to produce ready-mix concrete. And we had to also invest on a 10 million tons per annum stone quarry because the volume of aggregate which was required to produce concrete within this short span of time was large. And the concrete production, sorry, the aggregate production capacity, again in the country, was practically next to nothing. So we had to invest on a stone quarry of capacity 10 million tons per annum. So all these kind of investments were not originally envisaged, but all got added up. And we had to also develop a port on our own. The Nigerian ports are all designed, the quays are designed to handle 2.5 tons per square meter load. And our equipment were all coming with more than 20 tons per square meter load. So we had to go and design a roll on roll off jetty with a capacity to the quays to handle 25 ton per square meter load. And so we could bring the over dimensional cargo directly to the site. So we had to construct the quay very close to the site, and uh, well, there was an additional unexpected cost. So we originally built two quays, and now we have built two more, and we are in the process of building another two. So we'll end up with a port complex with 6 quays, two to handle Panamax vessels, which can actually export, where we can use to export our urea as well as the petrochemicals we are going to produce. And today we are using it to bring in the containers. Container vessels are coming in straight to our site. And as I said, the roll on roll off jetty to handle the over dimensional cargoes. And we are building two more quays to handle liquid cargoes. So we can put on smaller vessels if where it is required and take it out. We also realized that the capacity within Nigeria, even to produce welding gases, was not adequate. So we had to go and invest on an oxygen and acetylene plant. And with this kind of a large complex being built up, we realized that we would have to bring in a lot of workmen from abroad. So we built up a complex to accommodate 50,000 workmen, including air conditioning, water treatment and distribution, power generation with 25 megawatts of power generation, distribution, street lights. So there was a big complex, including sewage treatment, evacuation, solid waste management, a small city for 50,000 people. And we had to invest on that. But some of these investments have really helped us. Yes, without those stone quarry, without that batching plant capacity, this project would have never seen the light of the day. The same thing with the oxygen and welding gases plants. The same thing with the construction equipment. Actually, though it has increased our capital cost, we have been able to easily accelerate the work whenever it is required because we had the equipment on hand. And the 50,000 houses complex, it helped us during the coronavirus period. We could bring all the people inside, test them, and put them inside. So they are in the site all the time. We already had the arrangements for even with the canteen to produce food and distribute to the people. So all the people were inside. They were pre-tested and accommodated in. So there was no way the virus can get in, and at the same time, those inside the site could continue with our construction work. So yes, we made massive investment, but it helped us. And because, as I said earlier, the site was swampy, the whole complex is being built up on almost 150,000 piles, plus another 50,000 stone columns. So almost 200,000 piles. So it's an expensive construction work. And then with all this, we also decided to take up a big challenge on our own. We decided that we will execute this project as an EPC contractor. If you take petroleum refineries in the world, I think not more than 3 refineries have been built by their owners taking up this EPC challenge. So it was a big challenge to execute such a large project on our own as a EPC contractor. We realized that most of the global companies had very limited experience in Africa. So they were not much aware of the ground realities and the complexes, the challenges. And if they had come in, they could have delayed the project substantially because of the lack of inadequate knowledge and the lack of competence to manage local challenges, which are peculiar to the continent, peculiar to the country. And the companies were also asking for a huge premium because of these challenges. And if you look at the contract, they were trying to cap their liability to a very low level. So I'll be ending up paying a huge premium for the contractor, and I'll have my liabilities will not be fully covered because they were trying to cap it to a very low level. And I've had a major risk of them not being capable of managing the local challenges and delaying the project. And for many of these issues, they would have simply declared force majeure. Take coronavirus, they would have declared 4 months of force majeure. So I was at a major risk, and we evaluated the risk of ourselves taking up the engineering, procurement, construction challenge vis-a-vis leaving it with these contractors, and we decided that it would be worthwhile for us to take up this challenge. That is how we ended up taking up the challenge of constructing this huge complex. And it's not just the piling or the major works we are executing, even smaller things like take roads. We have to do 112 kilometers of concrete roads, 200 kilometers of concrete drains. When you talk about drains, some of them are as wide as 18 meters wide and up to 2 meters deep. They are big canals. Because of the land and because of the rainfall in this area, we have to construct major canals like drains to evacuate the water. So even the construction activities is quite large. And if you look at the tank farm capacity, we are building up 177 tanks to store a huge capacity of our crude as well as our products. And as I said, we can evacuate 150% of our production. I talked about the road evacuation. I can load up to 2,650 tankers a day of 30,000 liters capacity. We have 86 loading bays within the refinery. And when it comes to marine evacuation, also I said we can evacuate 75% of our production. We have actually built in almost 120 kilometers of subsea pipeline. To receive crude, we have two pipelines of 48-inch concrete, 48-inch diameter concrete coated pipes. And to evacuate the product, we have three pipelines, 24-inch pipeline to evacuate gasoline. We can evacuate aviation jets. We can also evacuate diesel. And we also have facility to receive ethanol if it is required. So we invested on 5 single point mooring buoys, 5 SPMs, 2 for the crude, 3 for the products. We can receive the crude with the largest vessel available in the world. We can receive VLCCs, we can receive ULCCs too. And product we can evacuate through Suezmax vessels, which is normally the largest, which is LR2, the biggest vessels which normally handle the products. So we have built in a lot of flexibility at the marine facility. It's a major investment, but it gives us flexibility because I can offload the crude at the rate of 80,000 barrels per hour. So I can bring a ULCC and evacuate it within a day. And I can load 75,000 barrels per hour of product. I can bring a Suezmax and load it within a day. So instead of vessels coming in, waiting, or incurring demurrage, I will even gain in terms of dispatch because of the very high product loading capacity and very high crude evacuation capacity. So these are other strategic investments we made in the marine facilities. As I said, we have a capacity to we have a total 177 tanks to handle 4.74 billion liters of uh, various crude and the products. The crude will can store up to 2 billion liters, and in the case of products, we can store 600 million liters of gasoline, 200 million liters of aviation jet, 200 million liters of kerosene, and 340 million liters of diesel. Actually, if you look at it, the diesel, we can store 34 days of the country's requirement. Gasoline, we can store more than 11 days of country's requirement. And kerosene and aviation jet to a much larger extent. So the facility we are building up here will be almost like a strategic reserve for the country. Today, in Nigeria, at any given time, there will be 20 vessels waiting outside in the freeway buoy to offload because the existing tank capacity is so limited and they do not want to run out of the products in the country. So they bring the vessels and 20 vessels will be waiting outside. One is the discharging capacity is quite low and the storage capacity is also limited. So now with this high discharge capacity and with the loading capacity and the storage capacity, we'll be providing a good service to the country. And now we'll come to the construction strategy. As I said, we decided to take the EPC role on us. And we decided to, as a primary contracting strategy, we decided to go for vertical contractors to reduce the coordination effects. So a vertical contractor can do the civil, mechanical, electrical, instrumentation, the whole section. So otherwise, if you have brought in civil contractors, mechanical contractors, electrical contractors, instrumentation, yes, they are highly specialized in their field. We have a wider flexibility to bring in people. Probably the costs, we can get a better cost when we negotiate, but there will be a major problem on interfacing. And each contractor can try to pass the responsibility on the other, saying that the fronts are not available. And ultimately, we'll be suffering because of delays. So to avoid this interfacing effects, impact, and to reduce the coordination efforts, we decided to go for a vertical contracting strategy. So end-to-end, civil to instrumentation and completion, mechanical completion and testing. So that is how we gave the packages out for section-wise. And then in the case of procurement, we centralized it and we limited to a few people handling it, which helped us in decision-making process. So the whole, there was a large supporting team, of course, but the whole decision-making process was involving about 3 or 4 people. So the decisions were made very fast, and that helped us to not only negotiate and squeeze and get a good pricing, but also to take decisions quickly. Then I said the other construction strategy I explained earlier, 2,550 construction equipment. We built our own port so that we can save on logistics. You take the case of the port facility, even to bring in containers. The port facility in Lagos is limited. You have 2 ports in Lagos, Apapa and Tinkan, which actually handles more than 80% of the requirement for the whole country. They are the biggest ports. But goods can come to the port and be lying in the port for anywhere between 3 to 6 months because of the port congestion, because of the bad road network. Evacuating the goods out of the port is a real nightmare. And we too faced a part of it before our own jetty was ready. Yes, the over-dimensional cargoes, we went ahead and built our Ro-Ro jetty, so it was quite easy. But the container keys were built in subsequently when we realized the major challenge we are facing with our existing ports. So it actually drove us to build and expand the port, but that is also now helping us to reduce our costs. Then investment on technology, software and systems. We are using Documentum, our own in-house development, PAMS, Navisworks, HISIS, HTRA, PBLI, PipeSim, ETAP, PDMS, EPC Proman. So we have invested a lot on technology to help us, right from for document management, for complete integrated management of the project, including procurement, payments, and monitoring, and of course, Primavera for project planning, and for design works, Navisworks, HISIS, HTRI, PBLI, PipeSim, TAP, and for construction management, EPC Proman. So that has also helped us a lot in ensuring that there are no gaps in the project management, and it has helped us. And of course, we went in for an effective organogram, fixed up with the roles and responsibilities, and we also went for benchmarking. So these are the primary construction strategies we adopted when managing this project. As I said, we took up a EPC role. We went to the licensors and we uh, engaged them to do the basic engineering. Of course, we did the first the business planning, then we did the basic engineering through the licensors, then we did the detailed engineering through a different contractor, then we did the procurement directly ourselves, then we brought in major construction contractors to do the construction and pre-commissioning, and we are overseeing the construction management, and we are setting up our own construction team to commission and start up. And we have, of course, the operational warranties from the licensors and from the equipment suppliers. So this is how we divided the responsibility with under our EPC role. And we have the project management, and we have the licensor also playing a role in the overall project management. We are also bringing in the detailed engineering contractor to do also have an oversight. Then the construction management is exclusively ourselves with the support of another. The detail engineering contractor, we also engage them to have a third party oversight over our own construction management, to have an independent. And the pre commissioning will be done by us and the licensors, of course. We went in for the principal licensor is UOP, it's a Honeywell subsidiary. Of course, we have also got licenses from ExxonMobil, we have got licenses from DuPont and INEOS and other companies. But we put UOP as a management licensor to take up more responsibility from the other licenses too. So they too are playing a role in the overall project management. For example, they vet all the detail engineering and certify it. So we have built in some checks and balances. So though we are doing the EPC, we have independent contractors also having an oversight to see and ensure that there are no gaps. And coming back to the project management per se, we know, as you know, we are using Primavera for the project management, scheduling, resource management, risk analysis, opportunity management. And we are using Documentum for documentation management because we have more than 105,000 engineering drawings and thousands of documents. So all the software have to be stored. We are using an elaborate document management system to Documentum. And we are having 3,500 equipment coming to the site. So we are using software for monitoring the smooth erection of all the equipment and the equipment related activities, which is also very helpful for us to manage the erection. And we have the over-dimensional cargoes. And as I said, we have built in this facility which is helping us to manage the construction, the port facility. We took a strategic decision not to bring in small pieces of equipment and assemble them on the site. Instead, we decided to bring in pre-built or pre-assembled equipment. The crude column came as a single piece, weighing with a height of 94 meters and a weight of 2,300 tons. The C3 splitter came as a single piece, 102 meters long and 2,110 tons weight. And the reactor regenerator came with a weight of 2,700 tons and with a huge, with a 21-meter diameter piece. So we can see that many of the equipment, there are quite a lot of equipment weighing more than 1,000 tons and 3 equipment weighing more than 2,000 tons. And at least 4 or 5 equipment with a length of 90 meters and above. So these are huge equipment we bought as a single piece. Yes, we had to spend a lot of money on freight, and we had shipping challenges, the logistics challenges, and to bring them inside to the site. But the construction time at the site was cut down substantially because they were already shop fabricated, tested. And again, for equipment too, even like something like the heaters, the HRSGs, heat recovery steam generators, they all came pre-assembled, including, it's a multi-story building, including structures, equipment, piping, cabling, instrumentation, everything done and pre-tested at their facilities. And it was the whole piece of equipment, which is say 5 floor or 6 floor heights with different floors. The whole thing came as an assembled single piece to the site. So this has helped us enormously in minimizing construction mistakes and minimizing the construction time at the site and maximizing the productivity. It's a large site, as I explained. So we have, if you look at it, between the structural steel and steel plates and rebars, we are bringing in almost 600,000 tons of steel, 110 kilometers of handrails, 2,600 kilometers of piping, 18,000 kilometers of cabling, and 21.6 million inch meter of pipe fitting, 6.9 million inch diameter of welding. So the work at the site is also, in spite of what the pre-assembled equipment we have brought, is still enormous. And we are using 1 million tons of cement for construction, 40,000 containers of material, 1 million freight tons of break bulk cargo. So the project size is still quite enormous. And the management setup we have built in, as I explained earlier, the construction strategy we have done, the usage of the various software to manage the construction has helped us to manage this enormous project successfully so far. And as I said, the concrete quantities too is enormous. And we are using a separate software for concrete handling, which was developed in-house to monitor and track the consumption. And we also we are using, of course, software for pipe spooling, fabrication management, and erection management. All the material which are coming into the site, every pipe spools, every flange, every material, we are tracking through RFID codes and barcoding. So the use of technology, as I said, it's not just the software alone, RFID systems and other management systems are helping us to successfully manage this project. Without this, it would have been very difficult to successfully manage this complex project. And we have, as I said, at the peak load, we'll be having 100,000 workmen at the site. We have accommodation for 50,000 people within the site. And their attendance management, their movement management, everything is again monitored through software. And the the electrical packages, instrumentation packages, warehouse management packages are all managed and monitored through different software packages we are using, which has helped us a lot. And we developed another in-house package for project integration management systems. And we built it in-house, which helps us to keep track and integrate procurement, finance, shipping and expediting, warehouse and materials management, and integrated document management. So that is another software package which has helped us a lot, and it is helping us to have a complete oversight and tracking of the project. And we have adopted various strategies to reduce the cost and the time through the various systems, procedures, processes, and controls. And I think I have covered reasonably well about the project. I've given you the basics, the business strategy, the construction strategy, what drove us to do the project ourselves by EPC, and how we are handling the various elements of construction through the use of technology. Though it's a totally new challenge for us, as I said, this kind of an enormous project for somebody to take up as an EPC contractor is a real challenge, especially so in an environment in a country where you have a lot of operational constraints. And we have learned lessons and we have moved forward. As I said, we learned lessons that even the containers, bringing it through the port could be a major challenge. So we had to driven to construct our own ports. But so far, our planning had helped. So we could plan ahead and build facilities for industrial gases, for ready-mix concrete production, for aggregate production. If we had not envisaged these challenges ahead of time, and if we had not invested, the project would have gone out of control. And as I said, also our investment in terms of construction equipment, housing, accommodation, how when it has helped. Like COVID, nobody expected it. We didn't expect it and invest on those houses. And in fact, many people advised us, why are you investing on 50,000 houses? You'll never use it. We thought that, okay, if there is a situation which comes up where I have to accelerate the project, I have to bring in a lot of people. So let us go and invest. We'll just put it as a kind of an insurance investment. But that helped us. And so some of them we planned ahead and did it. Some of them we invested as an insurance and it has helped. Some were areas where we had lessons learned as the building up additional facilities in our ports. And we have gone far ahead with the project stage. We expect the project to go in for a mechanical completion by the end of the first quarter or the early second quarter of next year. And then the commissioning process will start. The commissioning process may go for 6 months, after which the oil in and the production will move in. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me. And as you can see in the last slide, my name and my mail address and my phone number are available for you. So if you have any further questions at a later stage, you can feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.